Welcome to a fresh hour of HQ presented by Hotels.com. Find your perfect somewhere. You know where my perfect somewhere is?
Oh, here we go.
Right here. Right next to you, Jeremy Stanley. I'm Jenny Dell. We are over the hump finally. It's now just an easy little slide down towards Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona.
Yeah, and this may be a little bit of recency bias, but the margins for this Super Bowl seem very slim. Very slim. Like, I know it's the tightest line between two teams that we've seen in a while. I mean, it's pretty small. The last two Super Bowls in Glendale decided by 7 points combined. So, I mean, the trend is there in terms of playing at the venue. The line in Vegas remains 1.5 points, favoring the Eagles, with the total sitting at 51, despite the core of supposed geniuses throwing at an exact score of 37-34, though that is in line with what's happened in Glendale before. Our build-up towards the big game continues out in Arizona, and I said yesterday that we'd get to the props. Well, it's that time. Todd Furman on set with Brady, Pete, and Tommy. Take it away, TT.
Jeremy, Jenny, thank you very much. You know, the wind's picked up a little bit. This is the first time we've had Todd Furman on set. You must have brought that wind with you from Vegas.
I mean, people have told me I've been full of hot air all the time, but that's what I get learning at the elbow with Pete. So what do you expect?
I mean, I just got to make sure my hair doesn't blow any. It's blowing all over.
I think you'll be okay. See how well it holds.
You might too. You might be okay too. I can tell you.
Again, Pete Prisco, Brady Quinn, Todd Furman here to talk about props. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to have 3 segments where each guy's going to give out 4 props, and then the guys are going to go fade or follow those said props. And Todd, since you're here first, we're going to have you start off with Jerick McKinnon, longest rush under 7.5 yards, minus $1.35.
Truth be told, Tommy, I tried to find every kicker or punter prop just to fire Pete up first thing in the morning, because we know how Pete feels about kickers in general and their contributions. But for me, guys, I'm going to go to the Kansas City backfield, and I'm going to look at Jerick McKinnon's longest rushing attempt under 7.5 yards. When you go back and look at McKinnon's usage, he's been a guy that's used as a change of pace back as much as anything else. He did have a 13-yard carry against the Cincinnati Bengals, but for the most part, over the last 8 to 10 games, he's only had 2 carries that have covered more than 7 yards. I know the numbers lost a little bit of value because this price did open 8.5, but I think McKinnon's used more as a receiver in this game than I do as a viable running back.
I'm right there with you, agreed. I think with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not necessarily knowing, bringing him up off IR on the active roster, not knowing what that means to this running back group, it could provide less opportunities too, which kind of helps make your case. But really how they've used him, Pete, is out on the perimeter, trying to get him the ball more in space, screens, just a short passing game.
I'm going to agree with it as well. I think, again, when we get to my props, you'll see I like Jerick McKinnon in the passing game in a big way. And the defense that the Eagles play, they will give him those catches out of the backfield. So I agree with you 100%.
We're supposed to say follow.
Double follow. That's okay.
Double follow.
We're still getting the rules down, so it's follow or fade, and then we go into our
supporting arguments there. So we're good. Double follow there for Todd Furman and Jerick McKinnon. What about the next one for you, Todd? Patrick Mahomes.
So for me, all the talk, obviously, going into the conference championship game was about Patrick Mahomes' ankle. How healthy was he going to be? Was he going to be a willing runner? And would they want him to operate, outside the pocket? I think in a high leverage spot like this, he's had 2 extra weeks to get himself healthy and be full. You go over Kansas City's results through playoff games, and Patrick Mahomes' legs are always the X factor that opposing defenses have to account for. So you look at his rushing attempts right now, sitting at 4.5 plus $1.20 to go over that number. I think Mahomes is going to be a willing and able runner. I also think Kansas City wins the football game, so maybe I get a couple kneel downs late, and that gives me 2 carries that I didn't anticipate going into the handicap.
I was just going to say, what's the fine print on this bet and how you end up looking at it? But I do think this game will be close. I don't know they're going to have the opportunity to have a couple of those kneel downs. I'm going to fade you on this one only because I think it's going to be hard. He's going to be hard pressed to be able to find running lanes with that pass rush. I do think they're going to want to get the ball out of his hand quick, either because of the rush or because of some of that soft coverage. Take what the defense gives you. So I'm going to fade you on this one.
I'm fading it as well. I just think that he's evolved into a pocket passer, and almost by necessity because of the way they play offense. I think they're going to give them the ability to check the ball down and throw those short passes. I don't think he's going to move that much. I agree with Brady. Fade.
All right. Didn't we get the Mahomes drama in Miami against the San Francisco 49ers
with
those kneel downs?
I think he took 2 kneel downs. It took him well over the rushing number to well under, because it wasn't just the traditional kneel down of a yard or 2. He dropped back like 7 or 8 yards, and I think he went from having 40-plus rushing yards to finishing in the teens.
All right, so that's Mahomes prop there. And now let's go to Quez Watkins, where we're talking about 1.5 receptions. You know, Larry Hartstein gave the same exact play on Sportsline earlier in the week. What is it about Quez Watkins that you want to do here?
Great minds apparently think alike then. So I'm going to go under 1.5 receptions for Quez Watkins. And this is as much about opportunity as anything else. When you look at his snap share, it's consistently declined in this Philadelphia offense. He's clearly number 4, if that, for the Philadelphia passing attack. We know it's A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith in the receiving room. Dallas Goedert obviously occupies the middle of the field. And I just don't see the opportunities for Watkins. I'd be more surprised if he got to 2 than if he finished with 0.
I'm right there with you. I'm going to follow you on this one. You mentioned it. Is he maybe the 4th best? Might be the 5th, 6th when you sort of incorporate the running backs. Yep. Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell, too, catching the football to the backfield. Let's throw Boston Scott in there, too. So I think he could end up having a catch. Maybe it's a big play. He's got some speed, but I don't see them going to him often in this game.
I'm following as well. I think you're right. He might have a big play and get over the yardage number, but I don't think he's going over the catch number. So I'll follow as well.
Okay, follow there for Quez Watkins. And lastly, it's a very popular one. Miles Sanders opened up 54.5. I actually got it at 57.5.
Oh, nice.
What are you taking with Miles Sanders, and how high are you playing this, Todd?
That's actually the number I locked in as well with you, Tommy, at 57.5. I didn't get the best of it here. My cutoff on this prop is 61.5, and this is more about game script than anything else. I think so much has been made about Kenneth Gainwell and Boston Scott cutting into Miles Sanders' carries over the last couple of games, but it's so important to understand when those carries are coming. Nick Sirianni didn't have to use Miles Sanders when you're nursing a 3-touchdown lead in the second half. You keep your bell cow healthy. Unfortunately, I was hoping we got inflated numbers on Gainwell. I wanted to go under across the board on a lot of his prices, but odds makers were on to that. I think as a result, though, you're going to see Miles Sanders carry the ball 13 to 15 times. You look at Kansas City, they're not great contacting running backs behind the line of scrimmage, and if he gets into that second level, a 3 or 4 yard carry turns into 8 or 10. I think Miles Sanders is also a dark horse for MVP if you want to go with that mindset as well.
Especially if you think Philly's going to win. I'm going to follow you on this one in part because I think this is what Philly has to do in order to win the game. They have to demonstrate that they can control both line of scrimmages, and they're going to do that running the football, I think, early and often. Take some of the pressure off of Jalen Hurts' shoulders, and not that you're afraid to go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, but there's no reason to want to see the Andy Reid offense led by Patrick Mahomes more than you have to. So a heavy dose of the run, I think it hits over this number.
I'm fading it, and here's why. I think they're going to do everything and anything. 6'2" stack monster. They're taking away the run game.
6'2" stack monster.
You remember?
Huh?
You remember the old 6'2" stack monster? They can do
little
everything
Giants?
and anything.
Okay.
No, that was
We're going to get the annexation of Puerto Rico to start the second half
all
as
the
well.
right moves. Tom Cruise, he was a 5'6" cornerback,
I know,
remember?
I know.
No,
They
they're
came
going
out
to
of
do
the coal
everything
mine.
they can to take away the running attack, and I think they're going to try and put it all on Jalen Hurts. So I think they will dive and penetrate and do anything and everything they can to take it away.
At 5'6", does Tom Cruise tower over you, or are you guys right about the same height? If you're
No,
going
we're about the
toe-to-toe?
same height.
Okay.
You know, you guys are about the same age, too.
No, he's a little older than me.
He's 60.
He's
Yeah,
younger
he's
than
making
me.
Mission Impossible and Top Gun
Only a couple
movies.
years.
What do you got?
I want to see Pete doing his own stunts. Pete, if you want to do your own stunts jumping on off this set, I'll be
I
thoroughly
can do a
impressed.
lot of things. You'd be surprised.
Oh, I don't doubt that for a second.
Let's wrap up the segment here with recap of Todd's picks, of course, and the 4 props that he is playing. One note on that Miles Sanders prop, by the way, both domestically and offshore, there's been a discrepancy on that number. There are 62.5s out there for Sanders as well. But again, Todd talking about, 61 and a hook there in terms of the buy price there for Miles Sanders, but we're taking it at 59.5. When we come back, it's Brady Quinn's props that we'll be dissecting. Fade or follow from Todd Furman and Pete Prisco on the other side. Welcome back to CBS Sports HQ at the Super Bowl. Tommy Tran, Todd Furman, Brady Quinn, and Pete Prisco. So now it's Brady Quinn's turn for your 4 props, and then Todd and Pete will either follow or fade. First one up, Travis Kelce there, Brady.
Yeah, over 6.5 receptions. This is actually a season average in the course of the regular season. He's gotten well over this number in the course of the playoffs. I like this number in part because no one's been able to stop him, even though they know the ball is going to him. He's a tough matchup in man-to-man. Teams try to double him. They still find unique ways of moving him around and getting him the football. And I think they have to. Look, I picked the Chiefs to win. I think in order for them to win, Travis Kelce has to have a big game. So he's going to go over this number.
Pete?
I'm going to follow. And, I mean, it's rather chalky at minus 184, but I'm going to follow anyways. If I was playing Travis Kelce...
3 of your 4, by the way, are all chalky. So what are you talking about?
That's in the next segment.
Pete has never shied away from juice any segment we've done when it comes to player props.
Look, the thing about this is if I were playing Travis Kelce, I'd be what Bill Belichick used to do to Tony Gonzalez.
And
but nobody does
Antonio
it.
Gates, but yeah.
Nobody does it. Why don't they do it?
I honestly cannot answer that question because I was watching the Jacksonville game in particular.
Jags, yeah.
Free release.
My goodness. Just do a
give him the ball.
3-man
Just
rush,
give him the ball.
put a guy right over top of him and a guy stacked right behind him.
Right. So I agree with you. I think he's going to get to 7 or 8 in this game.
So there's always one in every crowd, and this is all about price for me, and that's why I have to fade it at minus $1.84. You mentioned this is right on his season average. In 4 out of his last 5 games, he's had either 6 or 7 receptions. So it doesn't give me a ton of breathing room one way or another. And when you look at that 14-catch performance against the Jags, I mean, that kind of feels like the outlier now. We know Kelsey has been the model of consistency, though, throughout the course of the playoffs. 7 catches or more in 7 of his last 8 playoff games. The yards have been there. But I just get the feeling that Jonathan Gannon has to come up with something to neutralize him for stretches. It's all about price for me, and I'll take the plus price to go under 6.5.
Okay, so the guys are split there. You're going to get a better price for your second prop. Juju Smith-Schuster there, 3.5 catches going over.
Yeah, and that's not been a good bet looking at the way he's performed so far in the course of the playoffs. I mean, he's gone over that number if you're looking at his regular season average. He's battling a knee injury, but this is one of those games where you shoot yourself up, you do whatever you need to do in order to be able to play in this game. And I'm going to be real with you about it. So I think he's going to have to be incorporated as part of it because if they do try to take away Travis Kelce to whatever degree and he gets all the focus, someone else has to step up. Juju Smith-Schuster is that veteran wide receiver, and I do think he'll go over this number with some of those short intermediate routes where basically the Eagles kind of play off. They give him these.
I'm going to follow you. I think he's got to be an important part of this game because the ball has to get out, and he does a lot of his business in the middle of the field, and I think the ball will get out of his hands. So I'm with you. I'm going to follow this one as well.
And I'm going to follow, we'll call it a clean sweep here, guys. When I look at Juju Smith-Schuster, I think this is a good buy low opportunity. I actually had hoped it had been 3 and you could lay a price to go over. The targets haven't been there, the receptions haven't, but in a game like this where Philadelphia is going to do everything they can to try and take Travis Kelce out of the fold, at least theoretically, other guys have to step up. I think it provides ample opportunity for Juju Smith-Schuster, guys like Kadarius Toney. I'm right there with you guys. I'm going over.
Double follow. And then Brady got 2 more Patrick Mahomes props. First one up under 20.5 rushing yards minus $1.20.
Yeah, the common theme is the Kansas City Chiefs right now, and obviously their passing game because they don't really want to run the football, and I don't think they're going to try to versus the Eagles, even though it's one of their weaknesses. So this really relates more to Patrick Mahomes, which they're not going to have quarterback design runs. We're going to be more likely him taking off on a pass play. He's got the injured ankle. I think he'll be closer to being 100%. I just think he's not that quarterback anymore that's really looking to take off and try to make those big gains. Now, it is the Super Bowl. He will if it's presented to him, but I don't think he goes over this number. I think if you look back at the AFC Championship game, he's going to try to buy time to find people open downfield. That's more of his style of game, and I don't think he wants to potentially put himself at risk running downfield, hurting that ankle any worse. So under 20.5 rushing yards.
I agree. This is a follow for me. And again, they play a lot of off coverage, the Eagles do. I think he's going to get the ball out, dump it out, throw little quick throws, and that's going to be the extension of their running game. And he's not going to move to run, he's going to move to throw. So I think this goes under as well.
This isn't that much fun because I'd love nothing more than to have 8 props from these 2 guys and be able to fade all of them. But I actually agree with you guys here as well. I know I made a case last block for him going over rushing attempts, but I don't see the big gainer there. I don't think we're going to see that 15 or 18-yard carry in the mix. It's, all right, can I pick up a yard or 2? Maybe it's a quarterback sneak. There's no reason for him to put himself in harm's way here. I'll go under 20.5. This number, I'm surprised. It continues to get bet up. I know people are expecting better health for Mahomes here, but wait this thing out. You may get an even more inflated number to go under.
Be careful with the quarterback sneak. Remember, he's had problems with those over the course of his career.
I don't think we'll get any sprint options. I'm pretty confident in that in this particular spot.
We'll be looking to run to throw, perhaps, there in the pocket. And then this next one here, Brady, you're going to have to make sure you look at your book to have it because the popular one is 1.5 passing touchdowns, but that's like minus 180. You've gone 2.5 here, getting plus money, maybe around plus 160, let's just call it.
The bottom line is I think if you foresee Kansas City winning this game, they're going to do it through the air. That's what they like to do. They find unique ways in the red zone of getting those touchdown passes. There are a variety of shovel passes, and you'll see the screens and everything else that comes along with it. And even when he's scrambling, he'll find unique ways of getting the football into the end zone. So they're going to pass their way into the end zone. They're not going to try to run their way. That's kind of, I think, more Philly, if anything else. So I like the over 2.5 touchdown passes because I also think Mahomes is going to end up winning the MVP.
4. He's going to throw 4 in this game, so I'm following you. He's going to be the MVP. He's going to light it up, and you said it. They get little shovel passes. They get little quick throws outside. I think he's going to get 4 touchdown passes in this game.
Is this where you tell us 4 touchdown passes, but the Philadelphia wins the game by 2 scores? Something like 42-28 or something along those lines?
No. I'm on the Chiefs.
I actually am with the guys here. I'll follow you guys here and go over 2.5 touchdown passes. defenses. I think when you look at Kansas City, so much of what they want to do offensively predicated on Patrick Mahomes' ability. They don't shy away from throwing inside the 3-yard line. We know Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid love to get creative. The only thing that would concern me, I'm not as bullish on him getting to 4, is maybe we get Travis Kelce with a pop pass or some other unique wrinkle, but I'd much rather go over 2.5 than under.
You sound bitter. Pete versus the book. I've used you all year. You're a little bitter today. I think.
Well, I was hoping that we got to do this live in person on set, and there was going to be some surf and turf, but apparently there's nothing for us to eat at the desk, so it's a little disappointing.
Let's recap Brady Quinn's picks again, his 4 props, which basically is a clean sweep of the fouls, except for the Travis Kelce there because of the juice there, Todd. Cannot get that far with the minus $1.08.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.